Okay, hello, Jayne. I'm very happy to have you here with me and give our listeners a little bit um, background and story about you. Because when we met, it would be already how long is time is flying. Basically, it will be close to 1 year when we met together.
Exactly.
For me, you are like a pure inspiration. Nevertheless, I think we have more than three common things which put us together and continuing and having nice journey together. First of all, two of us, we used to work in corporate, so we're having a corporate background.
Exactly.
Second one is we are living in Germany. We moved from our home countries to Germany to get experience and grow. And the third one is we start also our businesses. We step into entrepreneurship journey. And I would like to, in this series, touch a little bit base how it happened, what was the story, what was the main reason. And also because when we talk, you mentioned that you always show up. So let's start from there and see how it developed. Okay, before we start, let give us our listeners the chance to introduce yourself and talk more about you.
Okay, thank you so much, Cornelia. Actually, it's so lovely that we met. You remind me when I just met you, it was just that thing. We remember after I was among the first founding members of the Global Club Women in Frankfurt. So when you took up the leadership, it was so nice for you, just to call me and then we connected. But just to introduce myself, my name is Jayne Marquard. I originally come from Kenya, but I've been living in Germany now for the last, oh my goodness, so many years, since 1999. So I came to Germany on a mission just to work with the United Nations on a 6-month contract. So the 6-month contract, until today, I'm still here.
Okay, this is great. But tell me, how did you do that, actually coming to Germany and basically going to the corporate? How was your story behind it? Because, if people coming, I can tell you at least from my perspective, whenever when I moved to the Germany, I clearly having a target that I want to continue my job experience in the same expertise. In the finance, in the corporate. So I never set for less to move to another country. Not starting, nothing against taking the job related to the services, like working in the restaurant. But in my case, I didn't set myself for the less than I was deserving. So how was it in your case when you moved from Kenya actually to Germany?
Thank you, Cornelia. For me, I didn't have that luxury because from moving from Kenya, I was running away from an abusive relationship. I was in this marriage for 10 years that was very abusive. There was violence and all that. And I needed to save my children. My corporate, I was in the corporate when I was in Kenya. I had great jobs, but my personal life was catastrophic. So, and I realized is that if I stayed in that marriage, I was not going to save not only myself, even the children that I loved so much. So coming to Germany for me was when I reached that moment when I said, enough is enough. I need to get out of this abusive relationship. And the only way to do that was to start from zero. And I didn't care what I was going to take. Actually, I took an internship job to come to Germany. So I settled for less, but my settling for less was, I knew it was going to be my stepping stone because I knew my innate strength. I knew who I am. I knew once I get into that country, I was going to grow myself in whatever environment that I was. So that strength is the one that gave me the kick to move and take the leap of faith and come over to Germany.
This is amazing. And basically, like you mentioned, you find the strengths inside you, or did you also have external resources which you can rely? Or I'm thinking like, community, friends, or the one who might give you that power to decide I want to leave. Because majority of us, especially women, we don't have enough courage to do and make a changes, because we as a human, we are afraid in terms of making a change.
Yeah.
And you did it like you really jumped to the big water, not even escaping and moving out from the abusive relationship, but at the same time even stepping into the world which culture which was completely new.
Okay, actually, let me maybe just to give a bit of a story, maybe the background of even why Germany and not the US, not the UK. So I remember when I was 21, my first job was with a German company, and it was a clearing and forwarding company. So my boss was Mr. Freaky. I love him. I hope he's still alive. So Freaky liked me, and I remember at that time, during my time, every girl, I was working as a secretary, just to sidetrack, just to go there. So I was his personal assistant. And he told me, Jayne, every girl here in Kenya is trying to learn, is learning French. Why don't you do German as, like a foreign language? And I was like, but it's so difficult. He said, no, German is just like Swahili. And you'll be very unique because not so many girls dare learn German because they all think it's difficult. So what he did, he said, and actually the company is going to sponsor you. So they sponsored me for my first elementary language course at the Goethe Institute in Nairobi. So that's where my relationship, first of all, with German started. And he said, and you never know, your husband is a doctor. Maybe one day you could move over to Germany, and then they need doctors. And he's really, he's a good doctor. And I was like, actually, that's a great idea. So I jumped into that idea. And that's where my journey started off with German. So he was actually the one who planted that seed of me, of even knowing where I didn't even know where Germany was in this world.
Okay, wow, this is really fascinating.
Yeah.
Because sometimes life give us a little bit answer and knocking to our door and say, okay, what about this one? And I would like to also find out a little bit more to go to that real direction where you are right now, be entrepreneur, having your own business and having also the purpose. But we touch later on. But I would like to ask you, Jayne, one very important component, which I think it's very relevant to mention. Because like you mentioned, this guy planted the seeds in you. You were not in a position to rejecting and saying, no. You were just like exploring, try to explore. How would you like to, in that time, what would be your response? You believe that life was happening for you or against you? When you was having this difficult abusive relationship, that person came with this opportunity, just giving you the chance. In that sense, what was your mindset think about the life, for you or against you? Like giving you opportunity, or rather you need to struggle and fight? How was it in that case?
Well, now being now the me that I am right now, I see life was happening for me and not against me. Because had it not been for my ex-husband battering me and going through the abusive relationship, I would not be where the woman that I am. Actually, what he did, he gave me the strength to find the power within me. So what he did, while thinking that he was going to put me down, actually he propelled me to go up. He helped me actually to go find for answers, because by him being abusive, I found mentors, I found friends. I started speaking. Before, I was this shy girl, and I was afraid and ashamed, and I didn't want anybody to know what was going on. Because here I am, I even had been promoted and changed my organizations and companies, and I'd even been promoted to become an office manager, and I'm being beaten. And so what he did is that everything that happened to me at that time was happening for me and not against me.
Yeah.
The other thing is that also through that, I found, on top of just going back again to that story of my boss, is that I found also some other people who kept on telling me, yes, actually it's true. You can go in, and in Germany, the opportunities are there. And I kept on finding one job after the other. I got actually a third organization, which was an NGO also. And that's where I even met now my late husband. Even, it's a lot of, so everything was happening for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you agree? Because what I discovered as well, I mean, in my, I started actually from the self-development journey. And once you change your mindset and the perspective that the life and the challenges which the life is giving you, like for instance, in my case, it was the sickness of my father when he was struggling with the brain cancer. So it's opened me for completely different perspective. We're changing the whole value and the whole system. And like you mentioned, being vulnerable doesn't put you in a weak position, isn't it? This is how I see it as well.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Being vulnerable doesn't put you, actually, on the contrary, what it does, it helps you. And in the sense that for me, being vulnerable, and actually it showed a lot of strength because there were so many other women, because I remember going also to the Federation of Women Lawyers. I got lawyers who represented me for free because I spoke out and being vulnerable. And I found even some of those women, even as high as they were all battling with some other issues. And sometimes I remember we used to be in a room speaking about our problems, and I helped them to be also vulnerable and to trust. We found that everybody is going through something. And if all of us, and especially women, when we came out and spoke about our issues, I picked my baggage and I felt actually mine was not that bad. The other one is really going through a lot. So I find being vulnerable it shows more strength than weakness.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember when we once had a call and you shared with me, look, Cornelia, I'm really like giving the advices for the ladies, being an inspiration for them. And this is basically where you are changing your seat. Instead of being a victim, you start gaining the strengths, gaining the knowledge, and also be in a position to help other women, like you mentioned in Germany, to be able to know their values and go for more, in the work environment and so on. Can you relate to that, and how does it happen? And can you give examples, for instance, in that sense?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, through going all that, you see, once I found my strength already, and like you say, I always tell women, like myself also, I found you don't become a victim, you become a victor. Because once you know whom you are, and for me being a Christian also, whose I am, I believe in God. And that's where I find my strength. So once you know whom you are and whose you are, you'll never settle for less. And also once, like now for me, I conquered the abusive relationship of my ex-husband, but that helped me to ensure that I do not settle for less no matter what, whether it's in a job, in a relationship, in whatever business I'm doing, I don't settle for less. And this is what now I'm inspiring women as well, even in their career, for example. I don't know, I think I've mentioned to you also, like now being in my career. I remember one time I got this supervisor who was supervising me, but he came in with titles. He had PhDs and all that, but he didn't have any experience. And he came in with also his insecurities, trying to put me down. I didn't allow him to do that. But how do you do that? You still communicate. You communicate and tell him, and find other opportunities instead of settling where you are. Look for other opportunities. For me, I went for self-development as well, looking for mentors and coaches and people that will teach me to be who else that I want to be. And this is exactly the same message that I'm passing on to women, is that don't settle for less. Find mentors who have got what you want and use them like bridges.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, what is coming to my mind, discussion which I was having with one lady in the corporate when she came to me and talking about the situation, about the boss, how should I deal with that, and I advise, basically, like you mentioned, which I put in a different perspective, is you cannot change the world outside of you. The way how you can influence is changing your responses,
exactly
your way, and we are not like a trees. Basically, if we don't like the situation, we should change it. But like you mentioned, in a mature way, not really like, okay, I'm fed up, I don't want to talk to you, you don't have experience. No, it's trying to communicate through your values perspective, yeah? Like saying, okay, I disagree with you, I'm having completely different opinion. And when we talk with this lady, she said, oh my gosh, it's completely different perspective. And then you're taking out the whole pressure and the whole stress out of you, in the sense of be frustrated for something which you cannot change, isn't it?
Exactly. And if you cannot change, one thing that I know for sure is that I cannot change anybody. Or sometimes there are circumstances you cannot change. But the only person that I have control of is me. So once I change me, I'll be able to change everything around me. So I focus on me first, and I'm like, I can't change you as my boss. There's nothing I can do, but I have power to change myself. And I also have the power to change the way that I respond.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's very important, Jayne, to highlight it. Respond in the way of respect, isn't it?
Yes.
There are a few elements which we should also highlight in that sense, which is not downgrading the second person and saying, no, this is also another fascinating thing, how everything is correlated, the business world with the personal world and so on. So even that sense, it's very important. And I know, for instance, when you told me last time, it was last weekend, when you were super happy about the changes which happened in your family, isn't it? Because like you said, through the fact that you start changing yourself, your perspective, your mindset, your view about other things, the other start resonating towards you, and then you see incredible changes. Can we say a little bit more what I'm referring right now about this change, the move of your daughter and great?
Exactly. Again, going back also just to put a little bit on what you mentioned about when, even if you disagree with whether it's your boss or your, even now in entrepreneurship with your business partners, is that always leave respect. For me, for example, anybody that I disagree, I live with so much respect and love, and I make actually a lot of fun and jokes. I'll joke about it and be like, boss, you're abusing me. Do you realize you're abusing me? No, I'm not. And then we make fun out of it, and they still hire me back, even despite that, even disagreeing. Then we start respecting each other. And now what I see, we are as leaders and even as parents, and leaders could be anything, even at home. My daughter, I didn't realize, she was also observing me. She observes me. So my behaviors also tap on her. I see her behaviors. So seeing her now, the way she has matured, and she had struggled with some issues, like I mentioned to you. This was my life was not always rosy, as well as much as my job was rosy. My daughter was also going through depression and all that. And then she came out. So me being her role model and her observing how I handled my issues and my challenges, that helped her as well most of the time to say, Mama, I realized that even when you're down, you're still smiling. We pray, we laugh. We are like, okay, fine. This situation looks so bad. I can't do anything about it. I can't change it. But you know what? It's not the end of everything. So somehow I think I rubbed off a bit of that on her. And as of last week, after she's been staying with me now for how long? For, I don't know, she's 27 and has been living with me. And she's really been saying, like in German, what they, like her friends would make a joke with her, oh, you're still in Mama's hotel. So last week was a really big leap when she finally, I think she got a nice job in the midst of the COVID. So I'm so grateful that in the midst of COVID, she managed to graduate. She found a job immediately, and I moved her into her new apartment. And now, I'm feeling lonely, but I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's another story which we can talk about in another series about her and her development. But most important thing is, like you just mentioned, starting from yourself is like a domino effect. You start impacting
other people around you.
Exactly, people around you.
And they're watching you. The people around you are watching it. They're watching it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is another thing which I like about you. We talk about that one, and we had a long conversation. It's like having the same values regardless where you are. Is it the job environment or is it entrepreneurship, private? And most important is how you behave when not everybody is watching you, because if you are in, let's say, in a public eye, in the sense surrounded with the people, social work whatsoever, we might have a different behavior. But what's fascinating is really to have the same standards in these different places, which make our life way easier. And like you said, they can also resonate with that. Yeah. Jayne, quick one. Can we touch base about this correlation between business and also self-development? Like you mentioned, once you start understanding about your values, you will start also not be surprised or disappointed in terms of rejection, in the sense, like, you know who you are, and like you said, you can have a fun with your boss, saying a little bit against it, but doesn't mean that everybody needs to like you. Even if we go to the entrepreneurship journey, attracting the right people with the right values which we want to contribute, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think it's not everybody who like you. That one is for sure. And I don't expect anybody to like me. But what I do is that I have a choice. And now, having jumped from the corporate, but that's another chapter, I think, corporate now into the entrepreneurship, and it doesn't matter wherever you are, is that, and once you know yourself, you are able to choose and surround people that appreciate you. And sometimes I always say that I go where I'm celebrated, not where I'm tolerated. So I don't want you to tolerate me. So if I realize that you're tolerating me, the world is so big. I mean, I have choices.
Yeah, it's so right, because this is another thing which I also learned in a different way, like appreciation. Appreciation is a key element. Once you are a leader, once you are a co-worker, wherever, even in the family, once you appreciate somebody and be appreciated, this is what is giving you positive energy. And
don't settle for going back again to settling for less. Don't hang around. If one doesn't like you, that's okay. I'm not going to push you to like me. And I don't know if you allow, if I could give a bit of an example of being a migrant and a foreigner here in Germany. It hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy. So most of the times, this rejection for me was like on a daily basis. And I was just like, why don't these people like me? Just because of my color? I didn't choose my mother. I didn't choose where to be born. And why don't you just like me? But somehow I realized, even with my attitude somehow changes. And I think it's also was for everybody. So when I face rejection, even the people that are rejecting me, and especially like if I go to somebody and looks at me and I'm like, hello, Entschuldigung, I'm like, do you know each other? And then someone will say, no. And then I'm like, why don't you like me? And I actually become so friendly. And I've made so many beautiful, amazing German friends because of, first of all, my reaction to theirs. And I was just like, I'm not going to accept you to reject me. And I asked them, why are you rejecting me? Why don't you like me? I didn't do anything to you just because I look like this. And so I've had lots of stories of some of them who rejected me. And now they are my best friends.
Yeah, I mean, this is how the word resonate with you once you start putting different lens, like you mentioned. Of course, I can also bring you the different stories. Being a Polish, moving to Germany, but I'm always coming with the place of grace and respectfulness, And like you said, once you are respecting from the beginning and you are kind and generous, then it's okay. But then you have to set your boundaries as well. But if somebody is pulling your leg, well, then you have to know how to push it back.
Right.
And like you mentioned as well, sometimes make a tough decisions and know your values to be able to move from the, let's say, toxic situation. Regardless, it could be colleague environment in the office or business partner, whatsoever. But like you said, it's very important to know who you are and where you are standing for. And like you said, it sometimes might play in your favor, you are a good friend.
No, it really does, because actually even the same people, or for example, they actually, you start attracting them and they want to know, how do you manage to do that? I was trying to put you down, but I didn't really manage because you managed to put me instead.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really great. What about life purpose? I don't know, some people, they are saying about the life purpose and you are developing. I used to say bold move instead of life purpose, because life purpose is really the destination where you want to go. What about in your case? What are the bold moves which are happen in your life, where put you where you are right now? Because you are inspiring, you are motivating people, you are entrepreneurship. What will be your response in that, Jayne, in your personal development and your move, because you moved from corporate into the business world? I mean, establishing your own business. How that happened, and what was the trigger for that?
Actually, the trigger, that's very good. The trigger and the bold move happened in, it started off in 2015 after working with this UN organization for over 17 years. And you've been promoted. And after 17 years, you're told, now we're going to be restructured. And my position was affected. But that's when I decided I'll never, ever again want to be found unprepared like that. So from that moment on, I said, okay, I'm getting this job. But what I'm going to do is that I will have to reinvent myself. I need to start now learning new things. And that's where my journey of personal development started. So I found coaches and mentors. I started going to entrepreneur meetings. And so I knew once I hit my age of 55, I'm going to take early retirement. And that's exactly what happened. So I started my journey. And then after 5 years within the organization, I reached my early retirement. I contacted the pension fund. How much am I, can you be able to, am I eligible for the early retirement? And of course they said yes. And that's how I took the bold move. And now I'm in the entrepreneurship, doing exactly and teaching people exactly what I did to make myself not settle for less.
No, it's so beautiful. I mean, I'm so happy when I see you, and that you are driving. And like you mentioned, we met two true global women, because this is another element which is very important in any movement you do, regardless, whatever you pick up. Yeah. Be surrounded with the people who are having different mindsets than you, in the positive manner. And we know that phrase, if you are in the room and you are the smartest in the room, you should leave that room, isn't it?
Move. Had I not taken that bold move, I would never have found Global Woman. I found it by going to, in Cologne, there was an intelligent, I think I mentioned to you, there was a network of entrepreneurs who were meeting in Cologne. And I went and enrolled myself. And from there, that's how I came to know about the Global Woman. And that's why now I'm even here with you. Otherwise, had I not taken that bold move.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fascinating, because once you start going to the direction which is self-development, you start discovering different things, different people, different projects. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's like meant to be, and exactly. You resonate. It's cool. It's awesome. What are the next project which Jayne is working for? Can you put us a little bit curtain and say what was your next plan to do it? What is the thing which you want to do? I know you are inspiring also ladies in Kenya and here locally in Germany. What are the things which we should keep the fingers crossed and watch you and support you?
One is my book.
Okay.
I really have to write my book, because I feel I have so much in me, and the whole purpose, even for me going to entrepreneurship, it is all about the legacy. Because I got also to this point whereby I asked myself, Jayne, if today was your last day, what will you be remembered of? Is it maybe the money that I'm going to leave for my children? Is it the things that I had? No, I would want to be remembered for more. Is the impact. So that's why I'm on the journey of writing my book. That is the one project. And secondly, the other project is also because I'm a giver. I love giving. I've got 2 foundations. One where I am funding an educational program in a maximum prison in Kenya. And why maximum prison? Because my father was a prison officer and he died exactly so I've gone back into that prison because that's how he raised me up, in that prison. And so I educate the inmates who are there because they have a school in there. So I have a foundation for that. And I also have the next one for teen moms because my mom gave birth to me when she was 17. So I've gone back again also into empowering teen moms. So those are my really 2 exciting projects that I'm working on. And on top of that, I've also got now into this self-development. Not really trying. What I'm doing is that I'm also putting together a number of students and women as well. And teaching them that education, personal, you need to take the initiative to educate yourself. Don't settle where you are waiting for anybody to come and educate yourself. Self-education is the new norm.
Yes, absolutely. Self-education is the new norm. And like you mentioned, I think the sooner than better, isn't it? It's never too late to start, but the sooner than better, because you can see and do so many things. It's amazing, Jayne. It's amazing what you are doing. I'm very grateful that we had a chance to meet together, and hopefully we can see each other face to face, because
yes, I can't wait.
Yeah, Würzburg is not far away from Bonn, so maybe we can meet in a halfway as well.
Yeah, sure, we should do that. Yeah.
So Jayne, thank you very much for your amazing story and inspiration. Hope it's going to give the boost for our listeners and different perspective and start doing the things differently and invest in the self-development and see where they want to end up at the end, because it's just the beginning, isn't it?
It's just the beginning, and the times that we are living in, COVID has just provided the opportunities for everybody to reinvent themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. This is how a person who is doing the self-development things, it's always through the lens of the opportunity and what life is giving.
Is just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so let's make a point here. Let's look for the opportunity and let's our dreams come true and make them happen to the real life. Exactly. And never settle for the less.
Never settle for the less. Exactly. And also the other thing, don't settle for the less, and also get uncomfortable being comfortable.
Yeah. Absolutely. Jayne, thank you very much. It was a pleasure. And we for sure continue having you here as our guest. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Cornelia. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.